Welcome to episode 125 of Dial the Gate. My name is David Reed. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have a great guest today, Britt Irvin, who played Merrin in Season 3's Learning Curve of Stargate SG-1. Big episode in terms of the mythology. They introduced the naquadah generator, which basically powered pretty much everything for the next of 300 episodes, and gave us a wonderful moral tale to boot. But before we bring her in, I just want to thank you for being with us and also invite you to like the show. Like meaning the thumbs up button. Before we get started, if you like Stargate and want to see more content like this on YouTube, it would mean a great deal. Clicking that like button makes a difference with YouTube's algorithm and will help the show continue to grow its audience. Please also consider sharing this video with a Stargate friend, and if you want to get notified about future episodes, click on the subscribe icon. And giving the bell icon a click will notify you the moment a new video drops, and you'll get my notifications of any last-minute guest changes, which have happened occasionally, but not too often. And clips from this live stream will be released over the course of the next few weeks on the gateworld.net YouTube channel. As this is a live episode, we have Britt on with us currently. So if you are in the YouTube chat at youtube.com/dialthegate, we have a moderating team there who will be available to you to take your questions. And then after I get through my questions in this episode, we will turn over the conversation to you guys, and I will submit questions to her that you have provided to me. So, without further ado, Britt Irvin, who played Merrin in Stargate SG-1, thank you so much for being here. This is such a trip for me, Britt.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
How are you? How are things going? How is your life? You know, it's been a little... some kid to womanhood. There's some time that's passed. How have been the years since SG-1?
Yeah, I don't know where to begin.
Right?
24.
Well, let's start with high school.
25 years? Yeah.
Right. Jeez. Your career, I've just been looking at your profile. Your career has just been going and going. I mean, this is wow, what a life you have led on screen. Is it just remarkable?
I mean, starting out as a kid, I was doing it for fun.
Right.
Only, and I loved it and was lucky to be able to do it. And I don't think I was even thinking in the future, that I could make a living doing it. Because, when you're 11 or 12, you're not thinking about the fact that you're working professionally and making money, and money's not important at that age because you live with your parents, and I would have done it for free. So yeah, as I got older and realized I could maybe make this my career, and then also realizing that it doesn't always work out that way. I feel like I've been really lucky to continue to do it. And that's all I've ever done.
Wow. So you've recently gone back and watched the show. And I know we talked a little bit about this before the show started. How long has it been since you've seen the episode? Have you ever watched the episode?
Oh no, I mean, also back when you're a kid working, I feel like your parents my parents would want to see everything. So we'd get a copy and we'd all watch it as a family. And as I've gotten older, I tend to not watch very much of what I do because I find it I just
okay.
Something, and it's hard to watch yourself. But yeah, so I mean, I haven't seen it since probably back when I did it. So yeah, 25 years ago.
Well, before we get into Learning Curve, what were the first inklings for you in your life that this was your passion, that this was something that you at least wanted to do for fun?
I think I was always I was a pretty outgoing kid, and, the type of kid that would put on plays in the neighborhood and all that kind of stuff. And I was a singer and a dancer, and I kind of just was really into the arts. And a family friend of ours who has definitely been on Stargate, actually. Do you know Gary Chalk?
Yes, most definitely. He played Colonel Chekhov.
He was a good friend of my dad's.
Oh, okay.
And he asked him and was like, oh, my daughter's, really wants to act. And he suggested an agent, and I took a meeting. And then, my parents were very much like, we can do this, but, you're going to school and you have to go to school. So we'll see if we can make it work. And then it did.
Wow.
So yeah, Gary Chalk.
Well, great guy. We've had him on the show before, and he's definitely one of the greats. That's so cool. So Stargate was one of your first acting credits. I'm going back here and looking at some of these others.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know.
Well, we had New Adventures as in terms of like IMDb, as far as we know how trustworthy that is. No, New Adventures of Madeline, Panic in the Skies, Angel of Pennsylvania Avenue. I'm sure these are bringing back memories. Oh, God. Sleepwalkers, Nightman, and Stargate.
There you go. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Vancouver is not the same town as it was 25 years ago.
No.
It's exploded in, I think, large part to a lot of these genre programs that have been made up there. Everything from, the Arrowverse and Smallville to Battlestar Galactica, Lost in Space recently, The Good Doctor, all these other programs at Bridge. Take me back to Stargate SG-1. Take me back to Learning Curve and auditioning for this part. Did it come up like any other?
Yeah, it came up like any other audition. The thing about this specific one, which I will never forget. So it was back in the day where you still got faxes. Like, you have a fax machine in your house. So your auditions would come through on that like fax paper scroll, and the phone would ring and it would be the fax line. And I'd be so excited because I knew that meant that I had an audition. And so I'd go running to the fax machine, and, sometimes it would come out like 6 pages or whatever. And the scroll of pages just kept like pouring out of the machine. It was like never ending. And I was picking it up and I was like, what the hell is this? And then finally all the pages came out, and you cut them and like put them, in order. And there was so many pages and so many all of Merrin's lines are like all of this like scientific sci-fi jargon, and like I didn't know what anything was, and I was like, whoa, like this is hard. So I just remember being like, I have my work cut out for me before this audition, because it wasn't like, in some auditions, like you can memorize things quickly because it's more conversational, but this wasn't like that at all. And I'd never auditioned for anything like that, and I'd never done anything like that before. So it was like a really challenging audition, actually.
The sci-fi kind of language is its own language, but if you're not like steeped in it, it has a X plus Y equals Z kind of logic to it. But I mean, if you're not like, if you haven't like been raised on it or seen a lot of it, it's like, it's like an equation, it's like, what is this? I know that it means something, but I don't know what it means.
Yeah. It was like reading it over and over, trying to figure out what she was actually saying. Because, like if you're you can't just like learn the lines, you do have to have some sort of an understanding. But auditions sometimes can be a little bit like weird mysteries, because they'll give you, the breakdown of the character, who the character is, and this and that. And then they'll give you a synopsis of the show and then a synopsis of the episode. But if you're, I hadn't seen Stargate before, so I didn't know who all the characters were. So, it was just trying to figure out what it was about and what she was actually trying to say throughout it. And, you only have 24 hours usually to do that. Like you'll usually get an audition the day before, and you'll have to memorize, 12 pages and then figure out who this person is and what the hell they're talking about.
Did you just have the casting director to work off of?
I went straight to the producer session. So it was the casting director reads with you. Sometimes they have a reader. And then the producers and director or whatever are all seated there as well. Okay.
And as you're getting into, I know I'm taking you way back. We're talking 25 years. I understand. As you're getting into this role, what began to be your understanding of what this person was? Very different from us. Not only has she learned a vast amount of knowledge since starting at about the age of 1, according to the script. Their society is very different than ours in how they utilize their their children based on their technology. What were your thoughts on this as a 14-year-old person looking at this completely different world of a character?
I mean, I'm not sure if I even thought about it in that way. I think I was more trying to figure out how to make her different from how a normal child would speak. Like, obviously she's saying things that a normal child wouldn't be saying. But it was kind of like to try to like not let the, like, you know, when you're a kid, you're naturally more expressive and more bubbly, and I think that, you know, that's how I was naturally. So it was like how to like hone that all in to make her different, not like an adult, but like a different. So yeah, it was more like learning how to, or trying to realize to like keep my energy to a minimum, but still make her likable, like not like mean or cold, more like just. So once I kind of figured that little part out, the words became easier to say.
You're shutting everything off. I mean, she has known nothing but her purpose. And her purpose has been this field only, to exist for her people, and that's all, and nothing else. No, what's the word? I try to avoid fun, because fun is at the root of the issue. But there's more to childhood than just fun. You know, there's the experiences of adolescence that this society just doesn't have, at least in the last 50 years, since they've been putting these little buggers in their brains.
Yeah, and just not having like emotional reactions to things.
Right.
Which is hard, because when you're acting, like when you're in a place as an actor where you're not sure where a scene is going, what you have is reacting to another person, you know, like it's an emergency alert is going off on my phone.
You want to handle that?
No, it's like an Amber Alert.
Oh no. Okay, so it's citywide. I won't be able to help, I don't think. Yeah, whoa, crazy. That's never happened before. Yeah, and an Amber Alert at that. Hope Jack O'Neill isn't... Okay, I'm not going to go there. So that's not appropriate.
Sorry, that was
considering that we're talking about an episode that has the theft of a child in it, to be perfectly frank, and you've got an Amber Alert, that's very strange.
Maybe
that's very weird. Man, oh man. Tell me about this particular cast. You have Richard Dean Anderson, who is completely unpredictable. This is an episode where he shines alongside you.
Again, as a kid, you know, my mom knew who he was, and she was like, "Oh, you're going to be working with him," and I was kind of like, "Okay, like cool." I didn't know. Right. And there's a lot of actors, obviously, now that are, you know, based in Vancouver, who have gone on to have amazing careers, who I now know as, you know, as an adult. But he was just like the nicest person. He was so giving with me and so patient with me. And like, you know, that little scene, the scenes where he takes me to the school, and the scenes when I'm, you know, back in our bond, like drawing on the wall, and, you know, him trying to make me, we were like joking. He's like, "I'm going to try and make you laugh." And he was saying like, you know, poop jokes and things like that to try and like get me to laugh, and it worked. And I think they kind of cut those out. I was trying to see if I could hear them, because I remember him describing, like, it's just so weird that I remember this, but I remember him being like, do you know what a dog is? And then he finished it by being like, "So I'm going to draw a little poop from the dog and put some corn in it." And I like lost it, thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. So yeah, most of my memories are of him and like how sweet he was.
Rick could always be counted on to give a headache to the director on set, because not only is he working to get the work done, but they're also going to have a heck of a good time while they do it, you know. And here is someone who has had her, quote, brain sucked out, probably doesn't even understand English, and so you're trying to deliver a performance just based on what you have at hand, and he's giving you poop jokes.
He's giving me poop jokes, but they never fail.
Oh my gosh. You spent a lot of time with Amanda Tapping in this episode. One of my favorite people on the earth.
It's funny. I watching it now too. She's so amazing in the episode. Like all of her reactions and like watching it as an adult was really cool. Like she's just so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like really, 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 really good. And I'm sure she's great in every episode. But I was super impressed watching that.
You haven't had a chance to be directed by her yet?
No,
Everyone says she's amazing.
That's what I hear too. I mean, it's so nice when you get to work with female directors in general.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to work with her again.
Any memories with Andrew Arley, your co-star for this particular episode? He was the Albanian leader. He was Kalen.
Not really. Not like that I can remember. I'd see him around and stuff, and we'd say hi to each other and everything. But we did have scenes together. But I feel like Richard Dean Anderson like overtook like he overtook my memories.
These are good things.
And Carol actually is amazing, and
yes,
we've done a lot of like Hallmark type stuff together, and we've had to go to some like LA event premiere stuff together, and she's just like always so nice to have around and kind of the best energy. And God, she looks such a babe in.
Oh, she's
show.
great. Yeah, absolutely. She's my father's favorite.
Oh, well, I mean, she's a babe and a half.
This episode, as far as I'm concerned, is in the top 10, maybe 15 of 350 shows. And it's one of the best examples of good entertainment and good science fiction, where it says, here's this civilization that does a thing a certain way to their children, which we find to be morally reprehensible because it robs them of their entire lives. They just become vegetables. And it's one of those where it's like it makes you think. And I think the best kind of entertainment forces us to look at a culture another way and find a way to make it work. And in this case, it has a beautiful quality to it because it just returns them to the state that they were, where they can learn, like the story says, the old-fashioned way, and they will. And it has a happy ending to it, whereas not all the episodes, especially in the later seasons, did that.
Cool, yeah. I feel like too, rewatching it, my understanding of it is a lot deeper than it was even when I was shooting it. Like, I mean, I thought I understood all of the aspects of it while I was doing it, but rewatching it, I don't know. It was just like everything rang differently to me this time. Watching it as an adult and having a kid, and yeah, it was just like so heartbreaking, and Richard Dean Anderson trying to like
fight for her.
Yeah, and is really emotional. Like all of those kind of elements, I don't remember realizing or feeling as deeply watching it when I was a kid.
Did you know that in the story his son had died?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he is already
Also, that's a weird thing about auditions and stuff. They don't tell you very much info because everything's top secret. So you're like coming onto a show and trying to like ask questions to figure out. But if this show hadn't come out yet, they're very like particular with what they'll share with you.
In the film, not in the film, but before the feature film, his son had shot himself with his own handgun.
Oh God.
And so Jack accidentally shot himself. So in Jack's story, his story is very much of one of resentment for himself for allowing that, as a military man, allowing that to happen. Right. And so he has always, the Jack character has always had a very special place for children, where he's just, because he himself is very childlike. But that also, if you don't know that, you can still watch the episode, but knowing that information about the character informs his drive to protect the children he comes across based on his own experience with his son. So I
did not know that.
So it's one of those situations where it's like we as audience members are watching that and knowing that this is always going to be in the back of his mind. He can never forgive himself for it. But also he has that extra weight going into this situation with Merrin, where he's like, not like a shot at redemption, but like, this happened to me before with my kid. This other kid is going to be, lobotomized. If I have it within me to stop it, I'm going to stop it. And it plays out that way beautifully. He risks court-martial. He risks going to prison in a place with probably no doors because no one ever, it's a secret organization. He's never getting out. He inadvertently causes an entire civilization to understand what it's like to have kids. Right. I love this story.
Wow, I wish I had known that back then. Yeah,
absolutely. I want to show you something. So in the episode, you were showing Earth how to make this energy efficient technology.
Yeah.
Did you ever see did you ever follow the show after?
A little bit. We would watch it, but not in a way where I was watching it and would know all of the storylines and what happened. I do know that it became an incredibly important part of the whole show, that it wasn't just a device that was in the episode and then.
Okay, so you had a contribution to the mythology.
Yeah, and they did explain that to me when we were talking, because I was being what is this thing actually? And I can't remember who it was. Maybe one of the producers explained to me oh, this thing is really important. And
to the mythology there. Do you want to see what it is that it led to?
Yeah.
Hang on. Just give me a second. This is Earth's version of a naquadah reactor.
Oh.
So there's two sizes. There's a larger one and a smaller one. This is a fan-made replica. But this is the technology that is the offspring of what the Urbanians taught us. So, for all intents and purposes, this is what your character gave us.
That's amazing.
Isn't that cool?
Oh, who made that?
So this is there's a huge Stargate community out there.
Yeah.
And so let me figure out just who made this in particular. Let me see,
really well done.
Because I've got several people, and I want to get the name. I'm sorry, man. The name is escaping me right now, but
he's gonna message.
He's gonna message me and say, "Why didn't you think of my name?" There's several. I have several modelers that I work with, and I do want to give him the proper credit. Sorry, guys. This is so friggin' embarrassing. Let me see here. Where is he? This one was developed by Martin McLean. So Martin is I think he's in Washington State, and his craftsmanship is insane. I mean, just this is the little battery door here, and it's the Earth symbol. So he's cool. The fans, they make so much cool stuff. They're the quality of the stuff that this community comes out with is absolutely outrageous. So, cool. But yeah, thank you for that.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
That's funny.
To the Earth people.
Can you tell me a character that you have brought life to? Tell me about a character that you've brought life to that challenged you as an actress in ways that you didn't expect, or brought you to an understanding of something that you didn't anticipate. A role that's really been a gift to you.
Oh God, that's a really hard question. Something I just finished, I wouldn't say the world that I was involved in felt like a gift to me, but it's a new series coming out on FX, and it's about it's called Under the Banner of Heaven, and it's about the Mormon community, but this murder that happens in it. It's based on a true story.
Oh.
And I play one of the wives in the family, but I've been Mormon since I was younger, and we end up becoming fundamentalist Mormon, which is very different from the main LDS.
That's the
Mormons.
one with multiple that has multiple partners.
Yeah,
The fundamentalist. Okay.
and they're like really so in the name of God, this is why these murders happen. But
Okay.
My character was like incredibly devout and like followed her husband into this fundamentalism, like seemingly wholeheartedly. And I had to say some really horrible things, like the character. I mean, that community, at least in this, is incredibly racist. I had to say awful stuff. It was anyway. It was really that just because it was the most recent thing I've done to sticks in my head of being like getting into the mind of someone that's so incredibly different from me and that has such incredibly different morals and outlooks on life. So it was really challenging and also really cool because it's been a while that I've gotten to sort of be completely different from who I am.
Wow. So I would think that, being able to tackle something that really makes you uncomfortable in some ways it has its own, challenges morally and ethically and everything else, but to service the documents, and what it is that you're building on screen, has to be interesting because you're taken to places that you wouldn't necessarily expect in your own life you would go.
Oh, well, 100%. Yeah, exactly. And you also, it's cool because you do learn so much while you're working on something that's so different. Like with sci-fi also, you learn so much stuff that you didn't know about before, especially if you're not like you said, like growing up on sci-fi and all of these things, like coming onto a show, like even like the 100, when I did that, I'm coming onto a show that had been on for, I don't know, like what, 8 years or something before I was doing it, and learning as much as I could as quickly as possible about all of the little storylines and what this actually means. And like, you have to be on the show or a massive fan to come onto it and know all of the little details that shows like that have. But it is cool because you come out in the end with all, these new stories and things that you never would have known before.
If your kid chooses a career path, are you like you in the vein that you have taken? Are you going to be supportive of that? Are you going to push away from that? Are you what's your plan once that time comes? Yeah. Are you going to be actively pushing it?
I definitely wouldn't actively push it.
Okay.
I wouldn't push anything. Honestly, I'm hoping I can maintain my goal of just supporting her in whatever she wants to do. If she's like begging for it and she really wants to act, I will put her, we'll start with classes or camps or whatever, and she can give it a try. If she wants to dance, if she wants to play baseball, if she wants to, I don't become a rocket scientist like Merrin, she can hopefully do. I'll support her in whatever she wants to do. I certainly would not be a stage parent, like pushing her to do something. My parents didn't do that with me. You see a lot of it, and it's super cringy. You'd see it like auditions as like a kid, like you'd be there with your little script and your mom, and you could tell the ones that were there because the kid really wanted to do it, and the parents kind of like were like on their, maybe they weren't on their phone back then actually, but
right.
They'd just be sitting there, and the kid would be studying their lines, and then there was the moms who were like making their kid rehearse over and over and like bribing them. You'd hear things like, you just do it and we'll buy you an ice cream after, just go in and kill it and you'll get an ice cream. And I'm just like, oh my God, like it's so much work and so much driving. I don't know why you would want to force your kids into something and argue with them about it. It seems awful.
I would think that would be a great way to kill the spirit of it.
It would be a wonderful way to kill the spirit of it. I would think most of those kids probably didn't go on to be actors, probably because they hated it. It's not for everybody, Right.
Absolutely. And that leads to the question that I was going to ask, which is, if you could say, because at being as young as you were when you got into this, if you could give advice to parents who are facing this dilemma, should we put the resources into this? Should we move to so and so a place and give this a shot? What would you say?
It is very much a family decision too. Like I had a brother, and he was involved with all decisions, especially when something was shooting out of town, you know, he would have to be okay with having his life, you know, upheavaled and, you know, organizing. Then if just my mom was going with me, if my, you know, and my dad was working, if my nana could pick him up, like it was like, you know, and there was times where I would sometimes book something really cool and we'd end up having to turn it down because it just didn't make sense for our family unit as a whole. And, you know, I understood that to a point when I was that age, but I was also like angry and upset when things didn't work out. I totally get it now as an adult. But yeah, I think if your kid really, really, really wants to do it, then, and you have the, you know, you're able to make that happen, do it. But it's tons of work. It's like auditions every day. Sometimes it's tons of memorizing. It's a lot of waiting around. It's a lot of rejection. It's a lot of canceling birthday parties or whatever, because all of a sudden you have an audition or all of a sudden you're working. So you have to really want it because, you know, as a kid, like things like birthday parties and that sort of stuff is important too, really important. And I you know, I chose to do it, but I missed out on lots of fun stuff I wanted to do as well.
In your experience, what is a good ratio, letting you know that you're making this work? If you get one audition in 10, one in 20, what is it for you personally in your own experience?
I've tried not to even think about it like that.
Okay.
It's such a weird thing because you'll have literally like years where you're working back to back and you're like, cool, I must be doing something right. And then you'll be doing the same thing and you'll have months where, you know, you're auditioning and not working and you're like, what am I doing wrong? And you're not doing anything differently. It's all like, so much of it now, especially now, comes down to like, you know, you're auditioning for things and they've already offered it to somebody else. And it's just like a weird game. So I try not to think of, I'm just so used to it now that I you know, I audition for something, even if I'm in love with it and think I'm right for it and stuff. I do it and I literally put it out of my mind.
Yeah, you got to. Otherwise it would just tear you apart. Yeah. You know? That's no way to live, as far as I'm concerned.
Honestly, the best thing. I mean, having this as a career has made me so incredibly tough, and I'm really good at letting stuff go. Like I do not dwell in even any other aspect of my life at all. I'm just like, I'm not a dweller. I like experience something and like let it go.
Absolutely. I have questions submitted by fans.
Okay, cool.
Raj Luthra wanted to know, what was your experience like on Smallville compared to SG-1 and working again with Michael Shanks?
Yeah, we remembered each other. Well, he remembered me more because I think Michael Shanks and I didn't really work together that much on Stargate. Like he was there and around, but again, like as a kid, you're like, oh, there's just a bunch of all these different adults around me 24/7 and you know, it's just different. But yeah, he had made the connection and then I remembered, but he's also so lovely and his kids came to set and they were really big Stargirl fans and his wife came to set also. Anyway, he's lovely. That was really fun. And it was fun too because I was much older then, so it was cool, you know, working with someone that you worked with as a kid but in a completely different capacity, like
a different chapter in your life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was really cool. He's amazing.
Lock Watcher, we already answered this question. How was it like? What was it like working with RDA? So
yeah.
Urpal Homo, is the way of learning that's shown in the episode or a good or a bad way of learning? So I guess that's. I mean, if you like Elon Musk's Neuralink in the direction that we're going that way, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like Elon Musk would really have loved to cultivate Merrin and her nanites. Actually, I mean, I feel like it maybe is like an efficient way to learn something.
It's just so foreign.
I'm not sure how I would feel about it.
Yeah, I mean,
did you ever read the book The Giver?
I've seen the film, but I've not read the book.
The book is obviously better than the film, like
sure.
Things, but I mean, it is kind of like that. It's a similar take on The Giver. It's like, you know, one person learning all of the pain and all of the knowledge and then spreading it into the community.
And everyone has their place in society.
Yeah, right. And that's a little bit like Orban and what Merrin and the other.
Urons.
Yeah, that's what
The one with the many Z's. Did you and the other kids paint the paintings in the school scenes entirely yourselves, or were they prepared? I didn't expect to ask that.
I don't know about the other kids, but I mean, usually on things, they'll be somewhat prepared. Like the art department would have had prepared things. They were very specific about what they wanted me to paint, except for the stick figure. Of course, I did that one.
Oh, you did? This is a representation of me, or Major Carter in that case.
I got to do that myself, but everything else was thing. But, you know, I got to, I would just like paint over the little flower.
Right.
Very specifically planned by the art department.
Well, I always, in watching these episodes, I'm always having an eye for continuity. So if you start like working the little flower in the corner, is it going to be there later? The outlines of you starting on, and it is, you know, because continuity. So, jeez. Marsha Middleton. Hi, Marsha. Marsha's a good friend. Love you. Okay, is it Reiki on your shirt? Is that how you pronounce that? Or Reiki? Reiki. Yeah. Are you a Reiki practitioner?
I'm not. I've had Reiki done to me before, but it's a local woman, and she just makes really cool T-shirts with cool prints and things on it.
Okay, so is Reiki is that like Jamaharon? What is Reiki?
It's like a form of healing where people can like hone in like energy and heal through their hands. They don't actually like touch you. But when you get Reiki and they hold their hands above like whatever, it gets really hot. Like you can feel, it's just a big way of like honing your own energy into healing practices.
In so many ways, we are so behind on Eastern medicine. It's not even funny.
We are very behind. You should go get some Reiki.
Yeah, okay. I will consider doing that for sure. All right. Peace Writer. Thanks, Britt, for making one of my favorite episodes so great. I lost my parents when I was a kid, and episodes like this helped me when I missed them. I am a script writer. Do you later realize the impact that you can have as an actress?
I think so. It depends on the project and stuff. I on shows like Stargate, which again was a really long time ago for me, I still get mail from people, which is really cool because, you know, that time in my life is like, you know, I was just doing it because it was fun, and to still have people like you who say the episode and Merrin, you know, as a character touched them in some way is pretty amazing. Yeah, I get really excited when I get mail from things that I did that long ago, because you're like, wow,
it's continuing to make an impact.
It's really, really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. Marsha also wanted to know about your voice work in My Little Pony. Does your daughter like the franchise, and did they give you freebies?
My daughter just turned 2.
Oh, okay.
I tried to show her. That's why there's balloons in the background.
Aww.
I've tried to show her like little bits, but she doesn't like fully get it. I mean, she like likes it, but she doesn't really get it.
Yeah, she's a baby.
And I certainly did not receive any freebies. So if they're watching, I'd like some.
Oh gosh. Just a comment from Trev M12. I recently watched this episode again. Absolutely loved it. Merrin touched my heart. Thank you, Britt.
That's nice.
Raj Luthra, if asked, would you make a return to a future Stargate series?
Oh my gosh, of course I would. That would be amazing. Yeah, that would be so much fun.
The acquisition by Amazon of MGM is now complete. So
is it? Cool.
Yeah, so Amazon has now been absorbed. MGM is its own shingle under Amazon, so they're going to continue to do business very much in many respects as per usual, but we're all waiting with bated breath to see if another Stargate is going to be announced at some point here in the future. And
would they be, you think they would use some of the same cast members, or
that's the big question? Are they going to reboot it like a lot of this other stuff, or are they going to continue the franchise as it is? And I waffle back and forth on a daily basis with this, you know, the pros and cons in the back of my mind. Oh, they've got to. Oh no, they have reason. So there's no way to. We don't know yet. Bottom line.
Cool. Well, I will keep myself posted.
Absolutely, yes. You know, if Vancouver is the next home for whatever production is going to come next, and it's just a matter of time before something does come next, because they have expressed an awareness of its importance.
Totally.
We'll see.
It's stupid not to do it.
I agree. Absolutely, they would be stupid. Lock Watcher wanted to know, what did you think of the established Stargate sets? Did you think they were cool?
They were really cool. Yeah, it was really cool, because that was one of my first times like being on a show that had like real sets like that. Yeah, they were awesome, and just like the start, and it was cool too, because when they were doing computer stuff to make like surges or like the Stargate lighting up. That's all. There's like a little bit of lighting happening like on set, but it's mostly they're explaining to me, especially because I'm new, what's actually happening when that's happening, so reacting to kind of nothing. But the sets were amazing, and the props were amazing, like the what's it called again?
The gate?
The
the naquadah reactor.
Yeah, the tasting, like they had,
it's so cool.
Showed me that and how it lights up, and the props master was so excited about everything he was making, and it was really cool, because I got to he kind of taught me a little bit about how he built it, and like showed me all these like different little elements, kind of
wow.
Like it was super impressive.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. I was blown away.
You I can tell you there were people on the show who waited for years and years to be able to do a puddle pass through the Stargate, and in your episode you did it twice, so
yeah. It was fun.
Let me see. Dave, is there anything you took from your experience of being on the show?
Honestly, I left the show being like, I had just the best time, and I left the show just getting so amped about knowing I was on the right path, and like I was just like honestly like the best experience. I loved it. Everyone was so nice and warm, and it was just one of my favorite childhood memories, was shooting that. It was amazing.
That's great. What's next for you? Are you gonna juggle mom and acting, or what's your plan?
I have been doing that. It's been a lot of work out of town. She's 2 now, but before that she was traveling back and forth, and honestly it was getting a little exhausting being up all night with her and then working 16-hour days. And then this series I was telling you about that I just finished, that was back and forth, sometimes twice a week from Calgary, because I didn't want to leave her longer than a few days at a time. So I would, shoot 2 days, and because of COVID, you have to get there 2 days before to quarantine. So I was just constantly on a plane back and forth. So I've decided to take a little break to just be at home.
Can't blame you.
Yeah. But I just started auditioning again. But yeah, I took a few months where I'm just like, I don't want to work.
Is auditioning still happening over Zoom?
Everything is over Zoom.
Everything's over Zoom.
Yeah. So now my husband is my reader for all my auditions. He takes it so seriously.
Hey,
do another take because he doesn't like his off-camera performance.
That's funny.
It's still getting used to that.
Do you have an idea of where this is it a series or is it a film?
It's a miniseries.
It's a miniseries. Do you have an idea of where it's going to be broadcast?
It's on FX.
Okay.
I think it'll be on Disney Plus in Canada and Hulu in the States. You can look it up. It's called Under the Banner of Heaven. They just released just a teaser.
They sure did. Alrighty.
Yeah.
I'll be checking it out. What's your character's name?
My character's name is Sarah Lafferty.
Okay. Very good.
And I'm in I think I'm in five of the 7 or four. I'm kind of throughout it. Some episodes are bigger, and then some I'm just kind of there.
Okay. Well, I will definitely be checking it out. It means so much to me that you took time out of your schedule to talk with us about this episode from many years ago. But it's such an important show in the mythology, and it's an excellent example of the franchise when it was working at its absolute best. So
Cool.
it's such a privilege and treat to be able to talk with you about it.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I got to rewatch it and stuff. It's awesome. Yeah, it was really cool.
Thank you for coming on, and best of luck to your future endeavors and momhood and everything that comes to you next. You deserve it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Cool. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you. You take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Britt Irvin, Stargate SG-1's Merrin in Season 3's Learning Curve. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have t-shirts and tank tops and hoodies for all ages and a variety of sizes and colors, as well as cups and other accessories at dialthegate.com/merch. From the merchandise tab, you can click on a specific design and see what items are being offered. Checkout is fast and easy. You can use a credit card or PayPal. Just visit dialthegate.com or go straight to dialthegate.com/merch. And thanks so much for your support. We have coming up in about an hour and 15 minutes trivia. Stargate SG-1 trivia from seasons 1 to 5, featuring myself, Alan Gowan as moderator, and my competition, Darren Sumner from gateworld.net. He's going to go one-on-one with me, and we're going to see who is the supreme nerd, at least in terms of classic SG-1. So we've got that coming up in just a little bit here. My thanks to my producer, Linda Gategabber Fury, as well as my moderators, Summer, Tracy, Keith, Jeremy, Reese, and Anthony. Thanks to Frederick Marcoux at Concepts Web, our web developer on Dial the Gate, and Jeremy Heiner, our webmaster, who keeps the site up to date as well. We really appreciate, I really appreciate their efforts and continuing to make this show possible for everyone. So I appreciate you tuning in. My thanks once again to Britt Irvin for coming on the show. We'll see you in just a little bit, folks. My name is Dial the Gate, and I'll see you on the other side.